Hi, my name's TaLeiza Calloway-Appleton, and I'm the marketing coordinator at El Camino YMCA. I used to work for the Y as a closing manager on duty a few years ago, and just recently returned to my new role. So very excited to serve the Y in my new capacity. I'll start off by sharing how I've educated myself on cultural diversity. I can begin with my graduate education. I have a master's degree in journalism and mass communication, and I focused my research on the representation of African Americans in the media. I did a content analysis of 3 different newspapers to see how people of color were framed and monitored the frequency of positive versus negative news. I looked at different frames like conflict and building bridges and community. Unfortunately, the majority of the stories that included people of color were negative and often included information when a crime was committed. But I did that because I'm very passionate about storytelling and diversity. In my new role as the marketing coordinator, I've also attended the Dimensions of Diversity training. And I found it to be very enlightening because it reminded us how we can think about diversity and how we define ourselves when it comes to diversity. It's so much more than gender and ethnicity. It includes your socioeconomic status, your religion, whether or not you have a disability or a family. So it's much deeper than the surface, and I just found it to be very helpful. So those are just a few examples of how I've chosen to educate myself. Next, I'll talk about the area of collaboration and share an instance where I was proactive in sharing new learning ideas. We recently wrapped up our annual campaign, and I was a member of our staff campaign task force. We were talking about incorporating more video in the presentation of our campaign message. It was something that the task force was very excited about and very adamant about pursuing. In one way I shared an idea, I suggested rather than paying someone to film this video or outsourcing that particular need, I volunteered to film the video. Well, I knew I had some training. I knew I would require additional training, and so I volunteered to do it, and I sought additional training to film the video from beginning to end. I not only made the training for myself, I also opened it up to other marketing and communications managers in our association. As we move forward toward more visual storytelling, I thought that they may find value in it, and there were at least 5 of us in the training throughout our association to do this. But that was an example where I knew what they wanted and sought to provide it, even though I knew it would require more work and more training. And so I'm happy to say that, we produced a quality video, and I think that we really raised the bar in terms of how we shared our campaign message and shared the impact of El Camino YMCA. Lastly, I'll share an example of personal growth. Not to double dip, but I would like to go back to the example of the campaign video. That was a great learning experience for me. I had never filmed a production from beginning to end, so even though I was familiar with the camera, it was definitely something that I knew would be challenging, that I knew would be time consuming and a big responsibility. And so it was something that I was really proud to kind of go after because it was an opportunity to show what I can do. In that process, I learned how to edit, I learned how to create a storyboard, and I learned how to time video and to frame a scene and things of that nature. So it was something that I knew would be difficult. I was a little apprehensive, but also very eager, and so it's something that I'm very, very proud of. I learned a lot about the why in that process because the stories that I gathered in that process were different from stories that I might gather for the newsletter or for lobby presentations or a campaign display. They were much more personal, and the video component gave them more depth. And that was something that I learned a lot from because as I mentioned before, I'm very passionate about storytelling, but I'm also very passionate about the written word. I think it's very powerful, and words have such meaning and such power, and video is just another level of storytelling. And so being able to do that for the El Camino Y, particularly when it comes to campaign, is something that I'm very proud of, and so I'm happy to have gone through that experience. So thank you so much for your consideration, and I look forward to hearing from you.